Hiya, Texture Junkies and friends. This is going to be kind of an exciting video about different ways to use your cutting dies in mixed media. I don't make cards. I do like dies, but I'm sure you guys have seen me use my gel prints and cut out shapes to add to projects. But this is a whole new experience right here for me. So I'm going to give you some tips and tricks and some extra goodies that I came up with for your cutting dies. And this is a BB Craft video. They sent me these gorgeous dies. First, I want to talk about the BB Craft program. If you have 100 subscribers and a channel, you can click the link below and find out about their YouTube program. And they'll send you free stuff to play with as well, and with a promise to make some videos for them. This was an easy thing to get excited about because I've got to tell you, these dies here, and the link will be below, are nice and sharp. I think I even cut my finger on one of these when I first got them. They are extremely, they're deep enough to do a lot of things with, and I'm going to show you how you can use these on your gel plate. And I don't mean stick them on your gel plate. I mean a couple different ways to use them. So we're just going to have a little play, and I'm going to show you my favorite ways to use these goodies. I'm going to pull my camera out just a little bit more. There we go. So I have to warn you, I am downstairs still. It cooled off today, but I don't want to drag all this stuff up for the next round of heat wave yet. So I am working from my table, which means I have to use what I have. And that's always a good thing, but we come up with things in our head that we might have upstairs, and you know. So welcome all. If you aren't a subscriber, I would love it if you hit that bell and subscribe and become a texture junkie with me, because you never know what you're going to get. I do all kinds of projects and whatever strikes my fancy. So it could be in the area of junk journaling. It could be, it's never going to be card making. Just anything else goes. Anything. Not that I haven't made cards. I used to just fold a piece of paper in half and do a little artwork on it and write happy birthday, you know, like years ago. So I'm going to show you these awesome dies. They come in a set of 2. And I want to say they were $9.99, but the link will be below with the price. I will list in the description box as well. And I will first show you the things that I was doing. So first of all, I used this, which I don't recommend this paper for this. This is a sulfate paper. And I thought it might be a little bit like Yupo. It's supposed to be for like wet mediums, but it kind of curls, so it doesn't really do what you want it to do. However, as I had used this on my gel plate, because I turned it into a stencil, I can now take these pieces and add them to stuff. I mean, look at the it is almost like gears there. And this shape is the one that I liked the most, but hold on, there's more. So the next thing I did was I used some cardstock. And with the cardstock, let me show you this one first. It worked great. It sucked down to the plate. I actually used a gel print to begin with to make this so that I can use either side when I'm finished with it, and it'll be nice and built up and crusty and just the way I like my grungy art to be. Look at how awesome that shape is right there. See that? I love this. My only complaint about these dies is that I want more of this. And that's not really a complaint. It's just that is a haiku for them right there. And you know, it's two separate pieces that I put together. Let's go to the next stage here. The next stage I'm pretty excited about, and we're gonna play with these ones a little bit with the cardstock. I'm gonna show you what I ended up doing, something fun. The next stage would be to cut it out using like a cracker box. And then you end up with a great stencil, and it's going to give depth to a project later when you want to cut it up, and it worked out pretty well. And then, but wait, and then I used some stencil cutting, whatever this stuff is called that you buy to make stencils. You could also use Yupo, and these are going to make great stencils because they are now. I've essentially turned my dies into a stencil that I love, just like that. The next thing, you can cut them out. You can cut them out, enjoy the shapes you want, and because they're dies, you're not worried about cutting up your stencil and having to buy another one. You can make as many as you like. You can get the shapes you want on, in bulk. See, there's 2 of those now. There's that. There's that. But I also cut out the shape I wanted, and then I mimicked that shape to make some more, like that. I don't know why I did 4. It's very unlike me, but maybe I'd put one up here. So that's another way you can use them. But wait, I'm not done. And how fun are those? And you also don't have to worry about getting too much goo on them if you decide to use them with texture paste. I mean, look at how crusty and nice those are going to be. Very sturdy. That was just cardstock. So when I'm done with this, it'll be a really nice sturdy piece, but I've used it as a tool, and I love that. I really do. And then I took it one step further, and I made texture plates with my dies. That's right. I used this piece of cardstock that I used the dies on, and if you have a die cutting machine, you probably have dies that you haven't used, and these ones that kind of cut out extra bits and don't become a one piece are perfect for this. I can cut this up later and use it on my gel plate when I'm using paint or ink. And here's one that I actually did. I'm going to go through a few of those. I can't show you those ones yet because I still have one more thing, and that's what we're going to work on. So here's some of these. And I used these right over where I was rolling off or I was just picking up. This is on tissue. See that? And this isn't the highest contrast example, but it's what I've done with it so far. And then, not just a texture plate, because think about all the different dies you have and how you could use them as a texture plate. How fun. You could come up with, you can use the outside, the skeleton, or you could use the die itself, obviously, as a mask, and that's nice too. So either piece, plus these ones had all kinds of fun little shapes that I always pop out into a tin, and then I'll be able to use those later as well. That's really fun. Let's also, I'm going to put those away, talk about the favorite way. Well, you know what? Let's do this first. Let's take a couple of these. I shouldn't show you those ones yet. Let's take this one right here. This is an alcohol ink die right here, or tag right here. So what I want to do is use one of my pieces here, and I don't have to worry about mucking it up this way too, and get a nice bit of texture on here with some, let's use some, I don't want one of those ones, I want a different color. Different colors, please. Should we use copper? Or, ooh, this one right here. So we're going to get some high contrast here, some drama. I used these the other day, and I know you saw me do this, but not with a die, you didn't. This is really fun. I just love the opportunity here to make as many as you want, muck them up all you want, and then get to use them later. Just hold it down tight. Just like you would a stencil. I don't have to put this in a water bath now, which is great. Look at that. I mean, from a die. So you can use your tools in different ways like this and make the most out of them. You know, they're multi-use tools, and maybe you only thought about them with a card or in the traditional ways, but think outside the box and give it a go and give those some extra uses. I love this now. I like texture though, hence the name, and you all know that. If you know me, you know I try to texture everything. I want to touch everything, you know. So with that in mind, let's clean this off on one of these just a little bit. Here, I have a butterfly here. It's a stencil from PM Artist Studio, and I just want to give it some more and clean off my thing here. Just like that. A little grungy, a little good. So lastly, this is my favorite right here. I want to, so what would I do with that gel plate? We don't have to use the gel plate. It's just a nice way to, where did I put it? Just a nice way. I'm going to get out my grungy gel plate here. Just for an example, because we need this for the first step. And then the second step is, oh, so good. Look at my dirty plate. I'm just going to put it upside down for right now because, yeah, I wasn't sure if I was going to get the plate out or just explain, but I do always want to have a play. So, got my plate. Now I'm going to use, where did it go? So I want to use this in a way where I can have it absorb. I'm just going to use part of the plate. I want to use alcohol inks on this. And what's going to happen is the paper is going to absorb part of the ink and keep the design in place, because alcohol ink is a very wet medium and often it'll go under. And I'm not worried about a little bit of under, but I'm going to show you what I can do with this afterwards that is amazing with this piece of paper when I'm finished. I wonder if we should use the cardboard one. I haven't tried that one yet with the chipboard box. Probably still get the same effect. So I started doing this because being a wet medium, sometimes alcohol ink doesn't like to leave a clear impression, which I don't expect a clear impression. I want some impression though. So I also don't like to waste. So it became the child of those two things, and problem solving. And this is why you should always experiment, problem solve. Give yourself time to play and figure out how best to use your supplies. Let's use some, I've been using a lot of blue, a lot. And we know I want to use white, and we know I want to use copper. There's a bit of gold, because I always use gold, and some mineral. Maybe a lighter, maybe the patina blue. Okay, so let's make sure that this is able to stick to that. And that is my secret sauce. If you haven't seen the video with the secret sauce, I highly recommend it. It is in my playlist, and you're going to find it in a couple videos, actually, using alcohol ink on the gel plate, because it creates a kind of a soupier mixture than, say, just alcohol. And it keeps your ink wetter
longer for the play, which you can re-wet your ink on the plate over and over again. It's just you get little kind of spots each time. Little, I'll show you right here. See that? It kind of creates like a speckly effect, and sometimes that stays in your pull. So let's use some gold here. Oh, I should have brought my other bottle down. I do not have all my stuff down here. Sorry, guys. I want to go with a little copper and maybe some ginger here, or there's the ginger. Let's use that. This is going to emulate, you know, kind of rust and copper patina, a little bit of this and that. It's not going to waste, you'll see. And then maybe a little bit of the mineral, which I really like. It's kind of like the ginger, but it's got some sparkle in it. Along with mixing the white with the ginger or the mineral is really nice. I do like that. I'm dripping over here. I don't have a flat surface really. Okay, so I want to take, let's see, I'm going to use this card right here. It's from a previous pull. It's got some of the same colors. And I want to make sure that I have my shapes the way I want them. So the wetter it is, the more soupy your pull's going to be. Look at that. But you kind of get the impression of the stencil. I will show you how to get a better impression of that stencil here in just a moment. So I'm going to use this one now. It's got a little paint on it and a little ink. So let's go with this. So don't get it extra wet before you do these pulls, unless you want it to kind of bleed together. Like that one was a little wet on that side, although we do still have some of that impression showing on the stencil from the I don't know if you can see that. And as it dries, it'll change a little bit too. Boy, I really like that. Wow. Okay, and next I'm gonna use a piece of paper this time and see what we have on here. You can see it go through depending on what kind of paper you're using. This is cardstock. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, it's wonderful. And maybe a little bit more right here. And alcohol ink dries fast, so once in a while, oh my goodness, that makes my heart sing. Once in a while, you might want to give it and jazz it up a bit more. Uh-oh, did I get alcohol ink on my face? Wouldn't be the first time. It's too bad they don't make gloves for your face, right, guys? I do have a fan on. If you use alcohol inks inside, I would recommend that. Kind of important. So you have to let it dry all the way before you, let's introduce another darker color too. All the way, it has to be dry before you pull your stencil off if you're going to lift it with paint. Because that's the way to do it, would be to lift it with paint when you let it dry. You can also give it a squish with to fill in all your gaps. And luckily whatever you put on here, whether it's paper or cardboard, it's going to be absorbent enough to hold what you're doing and kind of absorb around the edges where it gets kind of puddly. We want some of this now, I think. So now, what if I just take this, and And then what I might do, because I don't have a bunch of other papers down here, what I might do is do something transparent. Uh-oh, I dropped it, so now I have to go with that now. Transparent over the top if I want to change it, or I might use my walnut ink spray or one of the other sprays. Oh, that's pretty, pretty, pretty. Now for a soupier look, we might go with, let's grab a tag for this one. And I'll show you what I mean by, and these are, I'll leave a link for these below as well. These have two different sides, and I use these in my video where I talk about the secret sauce as well. That's what I mean by soupy right there. When it's extra wet, it might do some running, kind of like a watercolor would. That. I like how you get the gold around the edges. That's just really fun. Look at that. I'm so thrilled with that. On a little bit on the side. There we go. And maybe on the top. Okay, I'm going to show you the other thing I did. So you're seeing these, and the reason why this looks like this is because we're using the ink and we're reactivating it from the top of that, which is what I did right here. So over and over and over again, you can spray your paper stencil that you've made with your die and get that impression because you're reactivating it, which is really fun. Let's set that off to dry. So let me show you some things I did. Oh, there's another one of those. So that's a reactivation. All of these are just cleaning off that paper stencil. Just spraying it with regular alcohol, not my secret sauce, that's for the plate. But regular alcohol will reactivate all of that. And this is the paper that was underneath, so get a fresh piece when you set this down to reactivate, and you'll end up with these, which is super cool. And here's one that I lifted off the plate after I took this up. So it's probably dry enough now to go ahead and pull that up and have those impressions. Look at that. Isn't that cool? I mean, how else do we do that? So let's get some paint and roll that out, and then we're not done with the alcohol ink, because you don't have to have a gel plate to do this technique as well. I want to show. Let's get that. Oh, let's get the yellow. It's nice and creamy. It's thick enough. Make sure it's nice and dry. A little bit of the yellow. I'm so bad about leaving stuff on my plate, guys. I am terrible about it. Why? It's not turning. I think it's time to clean my brayer. Where's my other one? Where's the other brayer? There it is. Okay, so I want to take a full-size piece, even though I'm probably going to be trimming it out. Just want to cover the whole thing. And we'll see if it needs to sit while we clean this up and don't waste this ink. Sorry, my stuff's moving here. Actually, if you didn't catch the last one, I have you downstairs, and I have this old metal red step ladder with 2 steps. And it's got my camera arm taped to the top of it. It's on top of my table. I needed something the right height, so here we are. Didn't bring down a baron. Oh. So I have a name for what I've been doing with the stencil, and I'll show you in a minute again. Look at that. Look at that. It's almost like a ghost print, but it's a super mixed media thing. And you could go around with a pen and highlight some shapes that you really like in there. Of course, you can use the same cutting die twice, so that you have only two different shapes you're playing with as well. So I'm going to set that off to the side. All right, and we're also going to move the plate now because I want to show you my favorite part of this whole thing. So in the description below, there will also be links for BBCraft to get a discount code. So you can have, with Texture 5, that's the discount code, you get a nice discount. And you can buy anything on the site. You don't have to buy one of these items, but, you know, utilize the code and get some things that you like. It's not just for jewelry makers and card makers. It's a little bit of everything. So I'm not trying to do anything necessarily right here. This is just going to catch whatever it is that I'm doing. So let's use some more of these because they are an easy thing to use later. Or maybe some tissue. We could do some tissue. I have some rice paper here. That would work. Let's do both. Okay, got them handy. And you don't have a time limit on this. I could still go back to this and pull up those colors as long as it has some left to give, you know, because it's your alcohol, and that's 91% alcohol. I think it has to be 90 or 80 or above. I'm not sure. But what I'm going to do here is spray it good, really good. And I could keep adding alcohol to this as well. And then I'm going to take this and lay it down. And you'll be able to see the pattern come through. Leave it there for just a moment because we reactivated. Nothing goes to waste this way. So it's pretty wet, but it will dry and have more definition. Let's go again. I don't really want it that wet. I could let it dry on there and it would do it. It doesn't take long to dry. Beautiful for collage here. This is, yes, beautiful collage material to work with. Look how pretty that looks. It would be nice to just glue some tissue paper over a piece of that cardboard and make little almost windows, like inky windows. How pretty. There we go. See that? Because it was a little less wet there. Kind of soaked it up over here. Let's see if we've got enough. And then once in a while you got to move your thing over because you're going to start getting impressions that you might want to save. I mean, you don't have to move it over, but another way to do it would be to get your paper wet. And then it'll kind of pull that up as it goes, if there's enough to give. Don't forget to do the other side, because your ink will go through. Let's see if that was wet enough. Okay, let's turn it over. I could still go right in here, but let's try the other side. And because this was a cracker box, it kind of has a coating on it, so we'll see if there's anything here. It's hard to tell. I'm going to use just one of those cream pieces of paper so we know if there's anything left. On a regular piece of paper, it will soak all the way through. So you'll find that, yeah, see, it's given up some there. You'll find that you'll get more from both sides. if it's not a cracker box. Look at that. So I was calling this giving up the ghost. Why not, right? That's what it feels like, giving up the ghost. So on a gel plate, it would be a ghost print, but here it is giving up the ghost. Like it. I'll keep it. Look at how nice that is. So all those prints I showed you earlier, that's just from the regular cardstock there. It actually absorbed more, I think, on the cardstock because it went all the way through. But this has a limit to its absorption because they want to keep your crackers dry. So just, have a play and use your dies in different ways. Think about the different things you can cut with them to use in your mixed media projects and how you might use them. The other way to get this to cut all the way through, because it can't be thicker than your die is deep. So this is a tiny bit thicker than my die is deep, and all I did was use, take out different plates, cut up a Dollar Tree cutting mat for different thicknesses. But with these ones, all I did was run it through a few times, and then I put a piece of paper on it. So I give it a whirl back and forth like twice, and then I pull it out all the way, but I don't pull the cutting things off of here. I put a piece of paper on it, and then I put it back through because it's already made that first cut, and it'll go the rest of the way through at that point. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So I did the same thing with these on the stencil material. It didn't go through the first 2 times I ran, and I knew I needed to make that initial cut, and then I added the piece of paper on top before I pulled the dies off and ran it through a couple more times to, because it gets easier as you go, and there's a reason for that because it's made that cut. So if you're going to use Yupo or you're going to use a stencil, let's play with this real quick here. And I'm curious because I haven't used this one yet. I want to use that. Because it's not absorbing, I want to see what happens if I just do it on paper. Say you don't have a gel plate, and I ink it, and then I'm going to try to take the ghost from this because I think it's probably going to pull it all off, in my opinion. If you don't experiment, you don't know. That's just, you can learn from others, or you can have a play, have fun, experiment, and try it yourself. And always stay curious and say, what if? Just what if, So I'm going to use my secret sauce. Let's give this a try. And I'm going to try not to put on so much. So we'll see. We'll see how that works. You know what I do want to do is take some of these, to get my splatters, to catch the splatters. And then let's take this one that we did earlier, see how it dried a little bit different. And let's just see if we can get a nice darker impression over that, but I'm going to let it sit for a minute. So on these tags, they're actually made for homework study cards, like for flashcards. I don't know why. Maybe for college students or grade school kids. I don't know. But they come with rings, and they come in a set of 300, and I'm on my 3rd set. That's 900. When I think about the math on that, it is crazy. But there's a smooth side, and there's a more absorbent side, and I find that I get different results from each side. Ooh, so it's a little wet still. Had I left it there, it would probably have been a little clearer, but look at that. I have to love that. I do. So like I thought, it's going to it's because it's a stencil, it's not absorbing the same, so I'm not getting the impression. And it also won't give up as much because once it's clean, it's clean. So interesting, right? These are just, what a great way to use your tools. I'm very excited about this and excited about the possibilities of just tripling the tools I already own. I don't have a lot of dies, but what I do have and what I have chosen for my collection is things like background dies. That's where you're going to find extra useful things like this, or shapes that I like, maybe a compass or some leaves, just a lot of, trees, things like that. So that's generally what I gravitate to, and I just use them in fun ways like this, where I'll, use them to cut out gel prints to use on things. There's a lock. That's cool, isn't it? There's a circle. I like that. I think this is meant to put a ribbon through, but I just see a border. Anyway, I hope that gave you some inspiration and some thoughts about how to use your tools in new ways, and I hope you learned something new and you give this a go. Please watch one of my other videos to find out about my secret sauce, and it'll be in the title. You'll see it. And have fun, and don't forget to check the information below for all that baby graft information. And you have a magical day, and we will see you soon. Bye.